Hey friends, let's get moving. For today's class, you're going to need a blanket and a block. Of course, if you don't have a block, you can use a thick paperback book or a thick hardcover book. So let's go ahead and get started. You grab your block or your book and stand up. Start with your feet about hip distance apart and hold your block in your right hand. And we're just gonna slide the block down the right leg, the outside of the right leg. And as you do that, feel how your left side gets longer. So reach as far down the leg as feels good and take a breath in there. And then when you exhale, come back upright. Switch the block over to your left hand. Same thing here. Let's try to inhale on the way down and exhale to come back up. Switch again. Let's keep going. Inhale, just tracing the outer seam of your pant leg. And exhale, coming back up. And as you're doing this, doing some information gathering here, noticing if there's any sensation that you're feeling in your waist as you go, noticing how your core and abdominal muscles work to help you reach down and come back up. And also noticing if you can get the block further down one leg than the other. Just paying attention. Okay, let's go back over to the first side. So having your block in your right hand, and you're gonna slide down the right leg. Okay, and pause here. Now, if this feels good, if you want to add a little bit more weight to your side stretch, you can take your left arm overhead. Take a big breath in, and then exhale. Come back up. Switch your block over into the left hand, and we're gonna again go down here on the left side, and we're gonna hold here on the left side, checking in, make sure everything feels well. And if you want to, you can extend your right arm in a line, or overhead, I should say. I almost said in a line with your ear, but my arm doesn't go in a line with my ear. It kind of goes in front of it. So take another breath in and exhale. Come back upright, lower your right arm. So I'm gonna turn sideways to show this next part. So now we're gonna hold the block in both hands. You can kind of hold it long ways, and I'm gonna start with my fingertips pointing towards the ground. So this time, we're gonna let the block slide down the fronts of the thighs. And as we do that, we're gonna shift the hips back. So making sure that we're starting with the ribs dropped and in a neutral pelvis. Okay, here we go. Shift your ribs back and slide the block down the fronts of the legs any amount, and then exhale to come back upright. Here we go again. Inhale, letting the block slide down as the hips go back, and exhale, coming upright. So again, some things to pay attention to as you go here. As you start to hinge your torso forward, do you feel your core abdominal muscles turning on? And as you go to stand up, what parts of your body are helping you stand up? What muscles are working to help you stand up? So for me, I feel my hamstrings and my gluteals. So a little bit of a variation. If your back is feeling good and everything feels nice, you can do the same thing, but instead of sliding the block down the fronts of the legs, we're gonna hold the block a little bit away from the legs, so that as you lean forward, the block is coming away from the legs. It's not as close into the body. It's gonna provide a different load to your back, to your legs and your hips. Keeping your ribs down, exhaling to stand. Let's do one more after this. Last one. Great, I'm gonna turn to face you again. So we're gonna come back to those side bends now. Instead of sliding the block down the outside of the leg. We're going to hold the block in the other hand. Okay, so hold your block in your left hand, kind of like, I don't know, a boom box. No, I guess that would be like this, wouldn't it? Just hold it on the bottom with your left hand. Okay, and here we go. We're gonna make sure the ribs are down and slide the right hand down the outer seam of the right leg. Now, if this feels well, you can go ahead and extend the block arm straight. And that's gonna give a little bit more of a load here to the left waist than just extending your arm would. So these left waist muscles are working and supporting this load, but they're in a long position as they do that. So take a breath in and exhale, come up to stand. And now let's switch. So hold the block in your right hand, ribs down, and let's go ahead and lean to the left, slide the left hand down the outer left leg. And once you get to where you're going, if it feels well, play around with extending that right arm. Can you feel the right side of your waist working as it's lengthening here? Take one more breath in. Exhale to stand. Great job, and lower your arm. And now we're gonna take the block behind us, and kind of like how we held it in front of the body, that's the same way you're gonna hold it behind your body as well. So make sure that you're standing upright, and the tendency here might be to overcompensate by leaning the torso forward, but I encourage you to try to stay upright, maintaining a straight plumb line from your ears, through your shoulders, through your pelvis, through your ankles, through your heels. So here we go. We're holding on to the block, which already is kind of challenging back here behind us. And then you're just gonna lift the block away from the body, any amount, and release. And again, lifting away from the body, any amount, and release. So continue there. Noticing which parts of your arms and shoulders you feel working. And I'm wondering also, as you get to the top here of your range of motion, do you feel any activity coming in through the core, through the abdominals, through the back? If so, cool. If not, cool. It's always just good to pay attention. Make sure that you're not scrunching your shoulders up towards your ears as you're going here. For 3, 2, and 1. Whew. Hello, triceps. Okay, go ahead and put your block down and come down to the ground. So spread your fingers out really wide, and let's put the hands down on the ground so that you can see the color of the mat in between each finger. And get used to just being here on your hands for a moment. So extend out through your fingertips. Try to make them long and strong as opposed to gripping them into the ground. And then tune into the 4 corners of your hands. So the base of the index finger knuckle, the base of the pinky finger, and then the base of the thumb, and then the heel of the hand side that's below the pinky. So see if you can feel all 4 of those points and your fingers, your long fingers, pressing into the ground. And then see if you can keep all of that contact with the ground and just shift your shoulders to the right. Notice how far you can go to the right, lean to the right, while still maintaining those contact points on the hands. And shift back through center and over to the left. And again, back over to the right. And to the left. Okay, coming back to center. Tuning in, making sure you have a neutral spine. Go ahead and press through your hands so you feel your shoulder blades spread apart just a bit. And then making sure that your pelvis is in neutral. So you don't want to be overly anterior tilted. That's like your tailbone pointing up towards the ceiling, but you also don't want to be super tucked under. So find that place in the middle. And then from here, I'd like for you to, we're gonna play a little game. So first, to start out, just go ahead and see if you can keep your table, your all fours position, your torso, your pelvis, all of that stable, and just lift up your right hand. So just by bending the elbow. Could you feel your abdominal muscles turn on as you did that? Go ahead and put your right hand firmly back down and then lift the left hand up. Again, can you feel your core abdominals working to stabilize your torso? Go ahead and put your left hand down. If your hands and wrists have had about all they can take, that's fine. Go ahead and just come up onto your fists instead. Now, can you pick up your right knee? Okay, put your right knee down. Can you keep your pelvis level, your shoulders level, everything level and stable, and lift up your left knee? It doesn't have to be a big lift. It can be a little lift. Mine's about an inch, hovering about an inch above the ground. Okay, go ahead and put that down. So now that you know what it feels like, this is where we're gonna play a game. It's gonna be kind of like Twister, except there's no colors. It's just gonna be, I'm gonna either say right hand, right knee, left knee, and you have to go ahead and lift it up as quickly as you can and put it back down. And we're kind of like training our core to respond quickly to the movement of our arms and legs, which that's its job. So just kind of giving our core a little wake up game here. So let's go, let's see, left knee, right knee, right hand, left knee, left hand, right knee, right knee, right hand, left knee, left hand, left hand. That was probably pretty easy for you. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit more challenging. Here we go, are you ready? Right hand, left knee. Oh! Left hand, right knee. Right hand, left knee. Just left knee. Left hand, right knee. Just left hand. Right hand, right knee. Just kidding. That wouldn't work. Okay, so from here, go ahead and bend your right elbow so you can pick your right hand up off the ground and pick your left knee up off the ground. So we're still pretty stable here. And then go ahead and slowly, slowly extend your arm forward and your leg back without disrupting your spine or your pelvis. And then go ahead and bring them back to center and extend again. One more time, bring it back to center. Last time, extend and come back to all fours. Hopefully, you can feel your abdominal muscles, your back muscles working to stabilize your torso here. So left hand, right knee, and go ahead and extend forward and back. Come back to center. Again, keeping your pelvis and your spine and your rib cage all stable. Last one. And back to center. Take a full breath in, a full breath out. Let your belly relax. Okay, now that we've kind of woken things up here a little bit more, now let's keep going. Let's go down to the belly and come onto your forearms. So you can either do railroad tracks or you can interlace your fingers for a tripod position. It's your choice. So go ahead and hug your ribs in just a little bit. So we have a more gradual slope to the spine. If we just let the ribs kind of go, our little spinal ski slope gets a kink in it right there at the bottom of the rib cage. So let's make a nice, smooth, gradual slide there. So take a breath in and lift your chest and look up, keeping the ribs down. And then when you exhale, push into the tops of the feet. Lift your pelvis away from the ground, and now your gaze is between your arms. Inhale, pelvis down, ribs stay in, but lift your chin a bit. Look up with your eyes. And then exhale, bring your chin down. Lift your pelvis up. Inhale, set your pelvis down. Lift your chin a bit, but it's a long neck here. Looking up with the eyes, and then tuck the chin down, look down, pelvis up, and hold for 3, 2, and 1. Great, go ahead and put the hips back down and rock over to your left side. So you're gonna have your elbow under your shoulder and your forearm parallel to the front of the mat. You can also kind of kick your hand out a little bit if that feels better. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna lift the hips up, take a breath in, and then as you exhale, lift the hips up and paint a rainbow with your right hand. And then as you exhale, go ahead and bring the hips down, bend the knees, open the knees. Inhale, lift the hips with the knees apart. Exhale, lower the hips back down. Straighten the legs. Inhale. Exhale, paint a rainbow, hips up. Inhale, hips down, knees bend and come apart. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, down. Extend the legs. Exhale, paint a rainbow. And if the breathing feels too confusing, that's fine. I usually try to exhale when I'm doing the work. Woo! And I probably shouldn't talk so much while I'm doing the work. Last one here. Great, and then prop yourself up. And let's go ahead and switch over to the other side. So we're gonna lay down onto the right elbow under right shoulder, maybe cocking the right hand out a little bit to the side or having the forearm parallel to the front of the mat. Just see what feels better for your shoulder and do that. Okay, here we go. So first, hips come up, you paint the rainbow, and then second, you bend the knees and separate the knees, and then you lift the hips up. So hopefully feeling some of that outer hip action there. Okay, inhale, exhale to do the work. So using your inhale as your prep and exhaling to lift. So this is our last one. Great job. Push yourself upright. Now let's go ahead and take the legs really far apart. So if you feel like you're kind of dumping back towards the wall, if your pelvis can't find neutral here, that's fine. Sit up on your block or your blanket. It's your choice. Okay. Go ahead and hook your thumbs together and pull apart like you're trying to break that clasp. Extend your arms up, but drop the ribs down. Okay, so when we sit with good posture or aligned posture, with our rib cage stacked over our pelvis, it can make our bellies look a little bit bigger. And that's just because we're kind of squishing the contents there a little bit. I would encourage you to continue relaxing your belly and let your, as if you're starting from that relaxed place, then as you start moving your limbs and you start moving, your core has space, your abdominal muscles have space to come in and contract. But if they're already contracted and braced, then they're not going to be as responsive. So have a soft and strong and responsive and functional belly. Here we go. Thumbs clasped, trying to break them apart. Arms extend up, ribs are down, and then squeeze a big invisible ball in between your legs, okay? Imagine that you have like the world's biggest stability ball here, and you're squeezing it in between your legs, and then you're gonna lean forward any amount. Take a breath in, and exhale, come up. And again, inhale, leaning forward. Exhale, come back up. Squeeze that big invisible ball between those ankles there. One more, inhale, reach, and exhale. Come back up. Great job. Okay, so from here, bring your right knee in and your left leg in so that you come into a crisscross position. Again, you can sit up on your block or your folded blanket, whatever feels more comfortable if the ground isn't a happy place for you. So we're gonna stir with our spine. So you're gonna take your ribs over to the right, take them forward, over to the left, back. And now you're really trying to draw back into yourself as you scrape the back edge of the bowl here. Trying to get all that cookie dough out of the bowl. Noticing if there's any places, like on the inside of the cookie dough bowl, that you can't seem to get with your spinal spatula. And let's reverse. Go in the other direction. Noticing how it may or may not feel different to go in this direction. For me, this takes just as much mental focus to really make sure I'm getting every single part of the inside of that bowl. Let's go around one more time. You don't want to waste any of that cookie dough. Great, and coming back to center. Okay, let's get ready to transition to a kneeling position. And so try not to use your hands. If you can just get up with your legs only, great. If you need to use your hands though, that's fine too. You will need your block, and since we're gonna be on your knees, if you want your blanket for padding, go ahead and grab that. Okay, so coming into a kneeling position, neutral pelvis, go ahead and take your right foot forward so you're in a bit of a low lunge, but leave space so that you can lunge deeper. So what I mean by that is my right ankle, notice how my right ankle is forward of my right knee. So I'm gonna hold the block in my left hand like I did before when we were standing. And then I'm gonna lunge forward as far as I can comfortably go without like losing the tilt of my pelvis here. Okay, I want to keep my pelvis in that neutral position. And then I'm gonna reach with my right hand towards the ground, any amount. Imagining that I'm reaching along the outer seam of my pant leg like we did when we were standing. And then if it feels well, go ahead and extend that block arm. Deep, slow breaths, using the expansion, the movement of the rib cage to help you here, to help you get more space in your body. And come back up. Let's go ahead and bring the arm down and switch sides. And I should clarify, you're probably not actually increasing the space that your body takes up. But another way to think of it is that, you're more evenly distributing the tension. Your body is a body of tension. Some of it's helpful tension. It's what keeps you upright, but some of it's not helpful tension. And that's usually when it gets too concentrated in one spot. So what I like to think that we're doing here is redistributing the tension across the web of muscles and tissues and fascia in our body. So again, coming to a lunge position with the left leg forward, the left foot is forward of the left knee, so you have room to lunge forward. The pelvis is in neutral, block in the right hand, lunge forward as far as you comfortably can while maintaining that neutral pelvis. And then the left hand's gonna reach towards the ground, coming into that same side stretch position that we did when we were standing, but now the legs are split in the lunge, and then extend the block arm if it feels well. Taking some expansive breaths. Can you tell a difference in the stretch sensation from your inhale to your exhale? One more breath. Come back up. And now lower your block arm. We're going to make our way up to standing. So if you can use just your legs to help you get there, great. If you need to use your hands though, or a chair or the wall, do what you need to do. Find what's kind. Okay, coming up to standing, I'm gonna get my blanket out of the way, and we're gonna come back to sliding the block along the fronts of the legs now. So gripping the sides of the block, pointing the fingertips down, ribs down, and here we go. Let the block slide down the fronts of the legs as the hips travel back, and then stand back up. Hips stack over the ankles. So again, inhale to lower down, exhale to rise up. And now, the core abdominals and the back core, all of that should be a little bit more awake than they maybe were the first time we did this. If it feels well for you, if it feels kind, you can go ahead and again, try reaching the block a little bit away from your body. Make sure that although you're taking the arms away from the body, that the ribs aren't trying to go with the arms, okay? You wanna keep the ribs mellow. Inhaling to travel down, exhaling to travel up. Great. Okay, now let's go ahead and put the block off to the side for a moment and get your blanket. Roll up your blanket and put it on the ground. And then we're gonna put the balls of the feet on the blanket and the heels on the ground. Say hello to your calves. So if this feels good, if you like doing both legs at the same time, if you're a bit of a multitasker, then you can stay here. I also like to play around with stepping one foot forward at a time. I feel like if I don't fall over, I feel like I get a better stretch on each calf if I do it this way. Okay, and if you're doing one leg at a time, go ahead and switch. Okay, and come back to balls of the feet on the blanket. Okay, here we go. Drop your ribs, take your hands, slide down the legs, and let the hips move back any amount. And then exhale to come upright. So we've added a little variation here. How does it feel? Are you noticing anything moving differently? Do one more. Great. Okay, you can step backwards off the blanket. I feel so much taller. Let's take a break from the lower body. Pick your blanket up and open it up. So if you have a heavy blanket like me, you might start to regret this next move. It might be a little bit harder. If this feels too hard and you would like to back off a little bit, I totally understand. Grab a pillowcase or a dish towel or a hand towel instead. So hold on to the blanket out in front of you and try to take the blanket around back behind you and in a circle back to the front. So there's lots of ways that we can do this, right? We can bring in some of that side stretching, that waist movement that we did at the beginning of the class, and just kind of alternate sides each time you go. You can also kind of do a little bit of back bending to get that blanket behind your head. But what would happen if you said, nope to the waist moving and nope to the ribs and spine moving, and tried to just use your arms? Here we go. Let's try. Keep your elbows straight. And again, just alternate sides each time. So hard to not let the ribs pop up for me as I'm taking the blanket behind my head. One more each way. I think my ribs are coming up. There we go. I have to move my head forward then. Okay, great job. Go ahead and put the blanket out of the way. Okay, so from here, let's bring your hands to your hips, drop your ribs a bit, find your plumb line here in gravity, and then go ahead and lean your torso forward as your hips come back, any amount, and maybe don't go quite as far as you can go. Okay, so while you're here, find something to look at that is not moving. And now see if you can bend your right knee and pick your right foot up. As you did that, how much did your body shift to the left? Go ahead and put your right foot back down. Let's try the other leg. So try to hug your body in place and just pick up your left foot. Bend your left knee, pick up your left foot. And again, step back. Here we go. Root through the left foot, let the outer left hip fire up. Can you pick up the right knee? And then put the right foot down and pick up the left foot, pick up the left knee. And we're gonna come back over to the first side now. So left foot down, right foot up. And then you're gonna go ahead and extend your right leg back behind you any amount and feel how your abdominals and your back work to support you. If you need to use the wall or a chair for balance, please do. Bring that right knee in, and then again, slowly extend. Last one. Great job. Go ahead and put your right foot down and stand up. Before we do the other side, let's take a side stretch to each side. So let's reach down through the right leg. If you want to, you can load with the left arm. You maybe can load with the right arm. Exhale to come up. Arms down. Lean over to the left. So the left arm is sliding down the outer leg. Maybe the right arm loads. Maybe the left arm loads too. Inhale and exhale to come back up. Lower your arms. Okay, let's come back to that other movement that we were just doing. So feet hip distance apart. Drop your ribs, find your neutral, and let's lean forward any amount. So you want to kind of just come forward enough and the hips go back just enough that you feel a response in your abdominal muscles and in your back muscles. Okay, and so we lifted up the right leg, so we're gonna lift up the left leg now. So go ahead and shift to your right leg without really letting your hips go too far out to the right. So you're gonna need to fire up the outer right hip, pick up the left foot, and slowly extend the left leg back behind you any amount. Of course, holding on to wall or chair. If you need extra support, bring the knee back in. Watch how the response in the core is. Watch how it goes as you take your left leg back behind you. Great. Yeah, and go ahead and put your left foot down. Okay, we're gonna make our way down to the ground. So if you can do this moving down through a squat, cool. If not, cool. So I'm gonna take my feet a little bit wider. I'm gonna keep my ribs neutral, my pelvis neutral, and I'm gonna reach my hips back as I bend my knees. And I'm just gonna go as far as feels good. In such an active squat, this is probably as much that feels good for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my hands on the ground, and then I'm gonna let myself crawl out to my belly. And then again, let's come up onto the forearms here. So while you're here, first, go ahead and hug your ribs back up towards your spine, and then push your pelvis into the ground. Take a deep breath, and as you're pushing your pelvis into the ground, you might feel your gluteals and your hips and your legs engage. And relax. Relax your tush. Okay, now lift your chin, lift your gaze. Take some expansive breaths through the rib cage while you're still hugging it in towards the spine. Last breath here. Great job. Let's go ahead and plant the hands and push yourself up. Come back to all fours. So frequently we're like, oh, let's do a core strength workout. We're gonna just like pop right into abs, or I'm sorry, pop right into plank. And if I go straight from typing on my computer in a seated position to plank, my stomach muscles, my abdominal muscles are not as awake as they would be if I would have started progressively and challenged them a little bit more and more and more and more and more. And then my plank will be more successful. So we're gonna watch and see how the abdominals turn on as we move towards a plank. So spreading the hands, the fingers wide, long fingers, steady hands, elbow creases facing the same direction as the fingers. Go ahead and push through your hands so your shoulder blades move apart just a bit. Now, starting, your knees are gonna be probably right underneath your hips. And now let's just scooch the knees back behind the hips a little bit. One leg and then the other leg. Can you feel a little progressive change in the work of the abdominal muscles? And then again, one knee back just a bit and the other knee back just a bit. Can you feel a progressive awakening in the abdominal muscles? Take the knees back a little bit more. until you're in a full low plank here. And then if you want to, if it would feel like the kind choice, you can go ahead and curl the toes under and lift the hips up. Whew. I don't know about you, but my core feels so awake in this plank pose. Breathe. For 3, 2, last one. Slowly drop the knees. Slowly, 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 slowly. Plop. Okay. Crawl the knees forward towards your hands. And let's get ready to lie down on our backs. So extend your legs in front of you. Maybe scoot forward a little bit. Make sure there's nothing behind you. Reach your arms forward towards your legs. Now imagine that your tailbone is a little garden shovel, a little garden spade, and you're gonna dig up some dirt. Scoop your tailbone under. And here, trying to see if we can roll down to the back, moving one vertebra at a time. Keep scooping with the tailbone. Going nice and slow. I don't know about you, but I'm quaking and shaking. And once you get to the rib cage, don't just plop down. Keep going progressively. One vertebra at a time. There's a lot that could stand to move in the upper spine. And the very last thing is your head. Okay. Go ahead and relax for a moment. Take a full breath in and out. Let your belly expand as you breathe. Okay, bend your knees. If you need to adjust your wardrobe, feel free to do that as well. So from here, flatten your back against the ground. Flatten your lower back, and then flatten right at the base of the rib cage as well. So you feel that whole lower spine that's connecting rib cage to pelvis. All of that part of the back is making contact with the ground. And then take your arms up in the air, right up in front of you. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna try to keep this midsection of our body really still. Now, as we go ahead and extend right leg and left arm, the tendency will be for the ribs to flare up and the pelvis to untuck and all of that stuff. But we're holding it all in place. Okay, and then go ahead and come back to starting position. So this is really similar to what we did at the beginning of class in all fours, but now we're kind of on our back. So right arm, left leg. And then here we go, one more each side. Right leg, left arm. And I like to do this slowly sometimes because it really lets me see what's going on. It really helps me to feel what's going on. And I can really feel that my abdominal muscles are fatiguing, which is what I hoped for. So that's good. Okay, go ahead and relax. Put your hands on your belly. Take a big breath in. Big sigh. Reach your fingertips towards your heels. Hopefully your heels can graze your fingertips. And then just plant your arms by your sides. Take a breath in. As you exhale, push through your heels to lift your hips away from the ground any amount Inhale, set the hips back down. Exhale, lift the hips. Inhale to lower the hips. One more. Great. Lower your hips down. Now, reach around for your blanket. And you're going to place it underneath your head and a little bit underneath the tops of your shoulders, so that you have some assistance keeping your rib cage down. From here, cross your left ankle over your right thigh. And now tune in. So I'm going to put one hand on my solar plexus area. That's like right at the bottom of my sternum. And I'm going to have my left hand over here at my left hip. And that's going to be a reminder to keep my left waist nice and long. So I don't want my left hip to scrunch up towards the shoulder. I want it to stay nice and long. And I'm going to start to tip the legs over to the right any amount, but I'm not going to go so far that I roll over. I really want to keep my rib cage on the ground. I really want to keep my solar plexus right there at the base of the breastbone pointing straight up towards the ceiling. Then I'm going to come back to center. Uncross, take a full breath in and out. Right ankle over left thigh. So same thing here. I'm gonna have my left hand at the base of my breastbone, right hand over at my hip to remind me to keep my right waist long. And then I'm gonna start to take the legs over to the left while still keeping the solar plexus pointing up towards the ceiling. And come back to center. Let's do one more each way. So put the right foot down, cross the left ankle over. Here we go, tipping to the right. Left waist stays long. Solar plexus points up towards the ceiling. Come back to center. Last time here, right ankle crosses over the left thigh. Notice if you can go further in one direction than the other. Come back to the center. And now, whichever side you felt more restricted on, go ahead and do that side one more time. So for me, it was my left. So I'm going to put my left ankle on my thigh and tip over to the right. Trying to find some freedom in that waist. Great. Come back upright. Both feet on the ground. Take one last bridge, lifting the hips and bringing them back down. Okay. If you are making time for some relaxation meditation today, great. Go ahead and lie down here, set a timer, and relax. Feel your body. If you're moving on, go ahead and roll over to one side and sit up. Oh, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that your body feels great. I hope your waist feels great. I hope your core feels strong. I'm so proud of you for moving with me today. See you next time.